All right, so I got home from work a little while ago, and I figured I'll knock another um, topic incident off the list um, before I go to bed tonight. So I have work in the morning. Um, I have work the next several days coming up, so we'll see if I get more done in the next few days. Um, I realized that I had two number nines on my list. So, actually, the previous incident was number 10, the one that I made the video about earlier today. And this incident that I'm going to talk about now is the actual number 9 on the list. My mother shanghaied me in New Jersey when I was in college, and I had a job in a room set up in Chicago. So, that's the one I'm going to talk about tonight before I turn in. Um, so this also happened when I am recording, right? Yeah. Okay. This also happened when I was in my early 20s. Um, this was in 2007. This was the last time that I was in Chicago. This is the last summer, the summer of 2007. Um, I had I had decided that I couldn't stay with my mom. I just couldn't do it. Um, she had pulled another stunt with, this time not a hospital, but uh, uh, drug counseling. So she basically, without, like, because I don't want to take too long on this, and it's not part of the main story. Um, so basically, I wound up going to drug, I chose to go to like a 2 week, well, you could stay as long as your healthcare would allow you to. Mine was like 2 weeks. Um, and it was like a like a drug therapy. It wasn't like all rehab, but it was something else. It was like a some kind of co-facility that focused not just on drug addiction, but on mental health. So, and she used the system basically to have me forced in there, and went in front of a judge in my early 20s, and oh, my screen went dark, and said that I was destroying my life with drugs, with weed. Smoking weed, I still smoke weed. Um, I'm better off now than I was during the 6 years that I gave up smoking any weed or drinking or anything except taking anti-anxiety medicine and um, uh, Ambien sleeping medicine, and that stuff messed me up worse than weed has ever done. So yeah, but we'll get into that more later. So, and yeah, I didn't do anything during that 6 years except I helped raise my niece. I didn't do like anything for myself. I didn't make any progress in my life or anything. Nothing during those 6 years that I was completely weed free, alcohol free, everything free except for prescription medication. I was happy to just watch my life go out the window and wave at it as it passed by. I'm sorry if you hear my cat in the litter box behind me in the bathroom. He's okay, buddy. I think it's covered up. He goes crazy with it. All right, so yeah, so she pulled a stunt. She did a similar thing, and convinced a judge that I needed to go to rehab, and so I was ordered to go to rehab, and I believe, yeah, and I was, and I was like, yeah, good, just anywhere away from her. So I remember like choosing the place and being all for it. And I remember even like the counselor or whoever was like talking to me about it was surprised at how eager I was to like, let's go. Yeah, like get me out, get me away from her. But I could only stay there for 2 weeks, and so when they were like, yeah, sorry, your time's up, your healthcare won't pay for any more, I was like, well, I definitely don't want to go back home to my mom, and I don't know where else to go. So, except Chicago, I was like, I'll figure something out in Chicago, something. I'll just figure something out. So, what did I do? I went from, um, I had a, I had a card with like 120 bucks on it or something. I left that place and went up and saw a friend of mine, Nina Rukavchenko, who is passed now. And I met her at school in Chicago. And she was from New York, from Glendale, New York. I remembered from right outside New York City. So I contacted her, called her, and went up there and had like a bunch of my clothes and a bunch of my stuff already anyway, and stayed with her at her place for about a week, um, and then I like caught a bus slash hitchhiked, like got my way out to Chicago, and wound up there in the summer, like in the early summer. I want to say probably like maybe like early June. Um, and wound up actually, I was only there for maybe like a week, and then I wound up running into a friend of mine, another student from my school, who was just happened to be wandering around, and told him that I was basically like I'd been sleeping on the streets in street corners, like in doorways, for about a week. But it was warm. It was warm Chicago nights, so it wasn't that bad. Um, and he was like, "Oh, like me and a bunch of the other students were staying down in Pilsen, which is a southern neighborhood in Chicago." He was like, "You should come down there. We can like throw you a couch to sleep on until you find a job and get yourself situated." So I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." His name was Will Leffler. He also passed away a couple of years ago. So yeah, my friend Nina and my friend Will, and they knew each other. Um, anyway, they were even better friends. And my mom actually, so I'm gonna make another video covering when my mom threw away like my clothes, and one of the things she threw away was a T-shirt that was screen printed for me, especially by my friend Nina, who's now dead. Now she's now passed away, and so that it would be nice to have that as a memory gift from her, my friend. But it's garbage now somewhere. Sorry, it's mosquitoes somewhere. Yeah, my mom just tossed that out. Anyway, uh, so I wound up going down to Pilsen, to the southern neighborhood of Chicago, and um, they were real cool. Friends of mine, other students from my school, uh, gave me a place to stay for a bit. I wound up finding myself a job at a local diner in the area that all the like students, all the art students down in that area who live down in that area would go to get their breakfast and stuff on their way to work. And the waitress there was leaving in a couple weeks, and I became pretty good friends, fast friends with the owner, who was also named Michelle. And she offered me the job, and a room had opened up in another house that was a few blocks away in the same neighborhood as the house that I was staying in with other friends, and that house was also full of friends and other art students. So it was super convenient. I'd gotten myself a bike. I was riding around Pilsen. I was set up with a job that was starting in a couple weeks. I was set up with a room that was going to be available right around the same time. Called my mom and was like, I'm good. I'm set up. I'm going to stay out here. I don't know when I'm coming back to New Jersey. I don't think I'm going to. At some point during that time, also, when I was in that facility for like the rehab and the whatever psych stuff, they prescribed me something that started with like a C. It starts with a C. It's pronounced with an S, and it was awful. They wrote me a prescription. I didn't get it filled till I was out in Chicago, and I tried going on it for like a week or two, and it was like I didn't get out of bed. I barely could function. I was like a zombie. I was like drooling on myself, and my friends were worried. My mom, I took it. I got the prescription filled, at my mother's insistence. I started taking it, and my friends were worried for me while I was taking it. They thought I was like on heroin, on drugs. So I was like, no, dude, it's this prescription stuff. Like, I was just laying in bed. Like, they're like, are you okay? Like, do you need to talk to somebody? I was like, nah, dude, it's this stuff. They're like, you should stop taking that. And I did, and got better. But just to put that in there, because I think a couple of them talked to my mom, like called her or something, because they were concerned. And so then my mom has since then been like, and even your friends thought that you were on heroin out in Chicago and blah, 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 blah. It's like, I was on a prescription medicine that you insisted I go on to that made me into a freaking zombie for like two weeks, for like a solid 2 weeks before I was like, I'm not doing this crap. And went off of it. That's why they thought I was on heroin. Because I wasn't getting out of bed. Like, that crap knocked me out. That's why I'm very careful about pills and prescription. I was very hesitant about going on my Adderall for my ADHD. Anyway, so that's the kind of crap she pulls. Is like, she knows perfectly well that it wasn't heroin, it was a prescription medication that she insisted I go on, that had me out for the count. But she harps on what like the worst possible interpretation. She does the whole, she allows the misleading interpretation to win, because that makes her win. Sorry, I'm like running out of steam because it's past midnight already. Jeez Louise. Alright, I'm going to try to speed this up. Maybe I'll redo it, make another one shorter. I apologize again. Please have patience with me and my ADHD. Okay, I told my mom, like, yeah, I'm set up out here. I'm good. I don't know when I'm coming back to Jersey. I might never come back. I really, I like the community out here. I like the people. I've got friends. Job starting in a couple weeks, and moving into a new place. So she flew out to Chicago. My mother flew out to Chicago because she was like, I want to see where you're going to be living. I want to see where you're going to work. Let me see. And she flew out, and I took her around. I showed her the house. I showed her the room. I showed her the people I was going to be living with. Like, I introduced her to the people some of the people I was going to be living with. They were all chilling in the living room area. And I took her over to the diner, and we sat and chatted with the other Michelle, with the owner of the diner. And my mom seemed like cool with it all, blah, blah, blah. And she said this to me. So she made a deal with me. How about, she said she would pay for me to go back to New Jersey for the 2 weeks leading up to when my job was starting. And she said she'd pay for the first month of my rent for that room. So that I could come home and visit with the family and visit with everybody, because we didn't know when I would ever be coming back to New Jersey, like when the next time would be. So she was like, take these 2 weeks, come back to New Jersey, I'll fly you back and visit with the family, and then I'll pay for you to go back to Chicago and start your job up. So I trusted her. I believed her. I was like, cool, yeah, okay. I left a bunch of my stuff behind in my new room because the guy had already moved out and vacated it. And I had already agreed with them that I was going to move in. So I left a bunch of my stuff behind there because I just thought that I was going to be going back in a couple weeks. And once my mom flew me back to Jersey and got me here, started coming up on the 2 weeks, and I was like, so okay, uh, when am I going back? When are we paying for, the ticket to go back? Yeah, no, I'm not sending you back there, is what I was told by my mother. She didn't like the house I was going to live in. She said she thought she saw cockroaches, and she didn't like where I was going to work. So, sorry, my screen keeps going black. Yeah. So she refused to pay for a ticket for me to go back to Chicago. I couldn't afford a ticket to go back to Chicago, and I didn't. I couldn't get back there. I just couldn't, honestly, I just couldn't even believe what she was doing, that she was doing this again. This was about when I decided I kind of did what the kid in the Dead Poet Society did. Only I didn't use a gun, I used drugs. I was like, you know what? This bitch is stealing my whole life. She's sabotaging my whole life. She's basically hijacking my life. She's telling me exactly where I have to live, what I have to do, what I have to study, what my job has to be, all of it. She's stealing it from me, so I'm just going to blow it up. Yeah. She shanghaied me. She shanghaied me in New Jersey. I had a life set up for myself in Chicago. I loved that little community. I had a lot of good friends there. I liked the little diner that I was gonna work in. Just, and who knows where I could have gone from there. Um, that would have just been a first step. Everybody starts off that way, like renting a room in a little kind of shitty house with a bunch of other people around their age, and like waitressing in some little diner or some little crap job like that. That's especially like when you're a student in college. So she's made these decisions for me all along the way, what my life's gonna be, and then she has the fucking audacity to insist that it's all my fault that I'm not successful, that my life is where it is now, that it's all a result of my decisions. If it is, then it's because no, it's a result of my trusting her. Yeah, it's a result of my decision to trust my own mother. That she'll keep her word when she promises me things. That she wants what's best for me instead of just wanting to control me and steal my life from me and force me to live it the way she would live it. Um, So yeah, that's sabotage. My mother again. Her name is Michelle Phillips-Cottrell. She's a nurse practitioner at the Jersey Shore. She runs a clinic. She's spent almost the last 40 years now sabotaging my life. And this is just one of the ways that I've just recounted, and hopefully it's not too long. How long have I been going for? Almost 20 minutes. All right, I'm gonna sign off now and go to bed. Um, I'll try to make one tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Bye.